Hello everybody, welcome to JustUpright. I hope you guys are doing great. So I'm back. It's been such a long time since I did my last video. So to tell you honestly, I had a personal crisis. I had severe anxiety and insomnia. I was gripped by fear of my postpartum anxiety, depression will happen again, and I just went down the hill. But God is so good, and through a lot of prayers and journaling, talking with friends, seeking the help of medical professional, counseling, so I am healed from that, and I continue my journey on being a better child of God, so to speak. Okay, spending time with God and reading my Bible. Okay, so just a testimony of God's goodness. So when you feel so down and you feel so hopeless, feel like you're gonna die, and you feel like there's no future for you anymore, that is not true. Okay, so I'm a living testimony of God's miracle and goodness, that you will get through whatever you're going through right now. Okay, so that is just a very short testimony of what I've been through this past few months. Okay, so we're going to discuss right now for foreign educated physical therapists who are here in the US. They are a U.S. citizen or immigrant. They have an immigrant visa, and then they want to apply as physical therapists here in the U.S. Okay, so they might be new here. They might just have a U.S. license, or a U.S. citizenship or immigrant visa, and you have no idea on how to process your physical therapy license. So this video is for you. Actually, I met a lot of foreign educated physical therapists asking me this question. My former students asked me this question, and other foreign educated physical therapists, what do they have to do to process their PT application when you are already an immigrant or a U.S. citizen. Okay, so this video is for you. We're going to go through the process, and that's coming right up. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do, if you're already a U.S. citizen or you have an immigrant visa, you're already here in the U.S., okay? You have to choose what state, okay, you want to apply. So one thing you have to really understand is each state has their own requirements, and they are very different from each other. Okay, so for example, you want to apply in California. Okay, you can apply in California because California requires social security number. You cannot apply to California without social security number. So foreign educated physical therapists who are abroad, who are not here in the US, they don't have social security number, they cannot start in California. Okay, because one of the initial requirements is social security number. So if, for example, you are here as a U.S. citizen or an immigrant, you have social security number, you can apply to California. But you have to understand, California requires that you have a 9-month supervision clinical practice. Okay, you cannot really practice on your own right away. Like New York, for example, once you pass the NPTE, you have a license, you can practice without supervision. So based on the people that I met on Facebook groups and students, some of this like a clinical internship, let's just call it like that, supervised practice. Some of them are paid, some of them are not paid. So it depends on where you're going to work. Okay, so that's one thing that you have to understand. For example, you're here and you want to apply in New York. New York has a more lenient and lesser complicated requirements. So, you know, you can apply to New York State of Education, and, you know, for your license, okay? So that's one thing that you have to understand. So if you do not have, I will put on the description section here the free ebook that I give away of the list, the master list of 50 states. So it has all the state, it has the address, the email address, if applicable, the requirements per state, and the website where you can go to see all those requirements, the detailed requirements per state. Okay, I will put the description section below. Download it, it's free. Okay, you can start there. Okay, you have to understand what are the requirements of the state. Okay, so that's the first one. Now, the second one is, one thing that you have to understand is, since you are an immigrant and or you are a U.S. citizen, you do not need the healthcare worker certificate. Okay, you do not need that. For foreign educated physical therapists outside of the U.S. who are not a U.S. Citizen and they are not an immigrant, they need the healthcare worker certificate, and you can get this from 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒. The service for that is Type 1 Review for Immigration. Okay, that is the service that will release the healthcare worker certificate. If you use the CGFNS, they call it visa screen certificate. It's the same as healthcare worker certificate, and this certificate is required by the immigration USCIS for an employer to file a working or immigrant visa for the foreign educated physical therapist. Okay, so you do not need that. Okay, so what I'm saying is, when you go to 𝐓𝐶CPT, if you want to use 𝐓𝐶CPT, you do not need to apply for Type 1 review for immigration. Okay, it depends on the state where you're applying. Some state requires Type 1 review for licensure. Okay, Type 1 review for licensure. So, but there are just a few states that requires that. If it is not under the list of Type 1 review for licensure, you just need to go through the educational credential review, or the ECR. Okay, for New York, they really want to be, you know, independent. It should be 𝐓𝐶CPT New York or CGFNS New York. Okay, so please understand that if you use New York, you can only use those kind of services exclusively for New York. Now, if you're going to transfer to another state, then you have to pay another fee. Okay, because you cannot use that credentialing that they use for New York for another state. So that's the second most important thing that you have to remember. Okay, you don't need the healthcare worker certificate, you don't need the visa screen certificate, you don't need to avail the Type 1 review for immigration. You might need to avail the Type 1 review for licensure if the state that you're applying for is one of the states listed that require Type 1 review for licensure. Okay? Okay, I just want to clarify additional information for credentialing. Okay, you might be, you know, on Facebook and different groups, someone telling you you need coursework tool number 6. Okay, so again, it all depends on the state. Okay, so someone told me, like in Texas, they require coursework tool number 4 or 5. Okay, now I cannot remember, but again, the state will dictate this. Okay, the coursework tool number 6 is required for healthcare worker certificate. Okay, so again, that is for applicants who don't have working visa, you don't have an immigrant visa and they are not a U.S. citizen. Okay, it doesn't mean automatically for you're applying right now you need coursework tool number 6. You need credentialing, yes. And usually what they're gonna do is they retrograde based on the year you graduated. Okay, that's one. Another one, again, if the state dictates that, oh, we need coursework tool number 4 or we need coursework tool number 5. Okay, so, or, you know, some state might say, oh, we need coursework tool number 6. It's a, you know, a liquid situation. It can change anytime based on what the Board of Physical Therapy wants to do as the years progress. So it's better, that's why I said review the requirements of the state. It will be in their website. What is the required coursework tool? Some are more specific than others. Okay, so if you have questions, if you cannot see this information in the website, you can always call them and email them and clarify what is the coursework tool. I graduated this year from this country. Do you have a specific coursework tool that I need to get? Okay, and also another very important thing, guys, is when you look at the requirements of the state, look if they specify that you need to finish the credentialing first before you apply to the state. Okay, so for example, California, they will not entertain you unless you are done with your credentialing process. Okay, so some states require you to finish your FCCPT or CGFNS, or if you use IERF, you know, or other credentialing bodies. Okay, so that's why it is important to understand what are the requirements of the state, because that is what will dictate your next step. Okay, okay, so after credentialing, and then you find out they told you you have deficient subject, for example, and some people have deficient subject. Again, it depends on what school you graduated, what year you graduated, and what's the coursework tool that the state requires you to get. Okay, so a lot of people I met from India, they are having a lot of deficiencies, more than other, depending on the school. Some of them even posting in the different Facebook group that they are deficient in anatomy, some deficient in math, some deficient in English, like the basic, okay? In the Philippines, usually we do not have deficiency in the basic, but there will be deficiency in some additional subjects depending on what year you graduated. Okay, for example, in my case, I took CSRD, cultural, cultural competence, screening, delegation. I also had to take the emergency procedures, and there's another one subject that I forgot. But you know, it depends on the year you graduated, what school you graduated, what is the curriculum of that school. Okay, so so you might have a deficiency, you might not have a deficiency. It's hard to tell. That's why we have this credentialing agencies, the FCCPT, CGFNS, ICD, or IERF, because that is their job. Okay, they have a checklist of coursework tools, and these are the subjects that needed to be completed, and they will compare it to the curriculum of your school. That's why you have to pay them, so that because they have to figure it out, and they will let you know whether you have deficiency or not. Where are you going to get these deficient subjects to complete the requirements? Okay, so in the Philippines, there is Philippine Rehabilitation Institute. Okay, so they offer online courses of majority of these deficient subjects. So you can email them. I will try to put the email. Hopefully you can find it. The email of PRI, and I don't know if it changed over time. Okay, and you can email them. I think the feedback that I receive is that the email exchange is very long, okay, process. So that's the disadvantage. But price wise, if you're in the US, it's a lot cheaper to get those deficient subjects from PRI compared to school here in the US. So in the school here in the US, you know, there are so many schools. You can contact them, Saint Scholastica, AT Still University. Okay, there are so many schools that offer like additional subjects for foreign educated physical therapists. I will list some of the schools on the description section below, and you can actually try to email them or call them, get information of how much the subject is, how long it will be. Majority of them are purely online. So after you finish the subjects, you completed the subjects, you have to request for a copy of the curriculum to be submitted straight to FCCPT, CGFNS, or ICD, IERF, whatever you use. It should be office to office, not from you to the credentialing agency. They will not accept that, because they want to make sure it's authenticated by the coming straight from the school where you finish your additional subjects. Okay, so that is extremely important to know, that you might have deficient subjects, but don't worry, you can complete those deficient subjects online. Okay. Common question is about TOEFL, Test of English as Foreign Language. Okay, so again, it will all go back to what state are you applying. Okay, so there are states I've heard, like Illinois. If you contact Illinois and you explain that your mode of education where you graduated was in English, they can waive the TOEFL. Okay, so it depends on the state. There are states that surely you have to pass TOEFL before they can release your license, or before you can complete all the requirements. Like New York doesn't require you to pass TOEFL to get a license. Okay, if you're going to New York and they say, do you need a TOEFL? The TOEFL will be required if you need the healthcare worker certificate or the visa screen certificate. It's part of that requirement. That is for foreign educated physical therapists who are not an immigrant or a U.S. citizen. Okay, but if you're an immigrant, U.S. citizen, New York doesn't require you to pass TOEFL for you to get your license after passing the NPTE, that is. Okay, so it all depends on the state. Like I've seen a post about Washington, that if you are a graduate from the Philippines, they can waive your TOEFL. But all of this information, guys, are just for presentation purposes. It will all depend on you. Take action, really reach the office, like the state that you want to apply. If you have questions from FCCPT, CGFNS, it's best to call them or email them to clarify the information, so you get the right information firsthand. Okay, so these are just information from other applicants, and again, the requirements can change over time, from the time you watch this. I made this video to the time you watch this video. Okay, so get the first-hand information from the office that is of your concern. Okay, but again, TOEFL can be a requirement by a state. It can be waived, okay, if you communicate with the state that the mode of your education is in English. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for you guys, for foreign educated physical therapists who are already here in the US with an immigrant visa or a US citizen. Okay, if you have additional questions, please put the comments down below so I can try to make another video in follow-up to that. If you have like personal experience as a US citizen, immigrant visa here in the US, and you want to share that with me, email me at JustUprightLLC@gmail.com, or put your comment down below. Okay, that will help me get some more idea on what do you need, so I can help you better understand your journey. So as a recap, guys, so you have to start with the state. You have to really understand, take time to read all the requirements of each state and the procedure they want the application to be done. Some states want you to do your credentialing first before you contact them. Some state, it doesn't matter. Okay, but you have to remember, you have to apply to the state. Okay, so if someone emailed me that they did the FCCPT, then what's next? Okay, so you cannot stop with doing the FCCPT. FCCPT's job is to make sure that you're really a graduate of a physical therapy degree and if you have deficiency, okay, and take those deficient subjects and complete them. But they're not going to give you a license. You have to go to the state, okay, apply, pay the state, apply for physical therapy license, okay, and have an active file on the state, okay. And by the way, when you apply to FCCPT, CGFNS, IERF, they will ask you where they're going to send the information, you know, the completed credentialing process, where they're going to send it. You will have a copy, but they have to send it directly to the state. So before you do your credentialing, okay, make sure that you have a targeted state already, okay. So because they have, if you're going to later on, I did my credentialing, I don't know what state, so oh, now I decided what state. So after the credentialing process is done and you decided, oh, this is the state where I want it done, okay, then you have to send a request FCCPT to send a copy of your credentialing to this specific state, and you have to pay another fee for that, okay. So it is essential that before you do your credentialing, you know what state you need to apply, okay, and you have an existing account to that state. You have to pay the state, you have to complete all the requirements of the state, and after everything is done, they're gonna send you the eligibility letter. And the eligibility letter is just a saying, okay, you're good to go to take the NPTE. Pass the NPTE, you will have your license, and you can apply wherever you want in the state you want to apply, you know, within the state, within where your license is whatever company is there within that state of practice. And because you are a U.S. citizen or you have an immigrant visa, you don't need an agency, okay, necessarily to get a job, okay. You can get a job wherever you want, okay, in the state that you are licensed in, of course, okay. So I hope that is helpful, guys. Always remember to understand the requirements of the state, if they will waive the TOEFL, if you need a TOEFL before you can get your license, okay. Do they have like a clinical, supervised clinical practice? Do they require background checking? You know, do they require fingerprinting? It's all there in my master list of 50 states, okay. And if you want to really be sure, go straight to the Board of Physical Therapy of that state for the updated information and requirements that they have, okay. Understanding the requirement of the state, what credentialing bodies or agencies they accept. FCCPT is accepted across the board in all states in the US, okay. Not so with CGFNS, IERF, and the other credentialing bodies. They're not all accepted in 50 states, so that's why you have to understand what are the credentialing agencies that each state requires, okay. What is the coursework tool they require. If you have deficient subject, get their deficient subject. Ask them if TOEFL can be waived because your mode of education was in English. Communicate with the state with any of your questions and clarifications, okay. So I hope that was helpful, guys. I'm glad to be back. By the way, I'm going to have a master class. I'm planning the master class soon, so stay tuned at JustUpright Facebook page. And also, if you're on our email list, I'm going to send you email of the upcoming master class on how to do a step-by-step process with US application. And this is specifically for people who are in abroad, okay, and wants to apply here to the US, okay. And people who don't want to waste their time, their money by trial and error because they don't have any idea what they're doing. If you want to be guided well, you better attend this master class, because this will really give you a clear understanding, a clear direction, so you won't be lost and you will prevent unnecessary mistakes and delays along the way, okay. Thank you guys for watching. Share this video, please. It will help me, this channel, and reach so many therapists around the world, foreign educated physical therapists, so we can help each other out, okay. Until the next video, stay blessed.